Moving on, people wrongly convicted of a crime will no longer have their living costs docked from their compensation claim. The rule was highlighted by the case of Andrew Malkinson, who spent 17 years in prison for a rape he did not commit. His lawyer described it as paying for his kidnapper's expenses. Well, Lewis Warner joins me now. Lewis, what's the background to these reforms?
Well, the government says it is righting a wrong that's existed for more than 15 years. What had been happening was that it was charging people effectively who'd been wrongly imprisoned for providing their food and putting a roof over their heads while they were behind bars. But of course, these were innocent people punished twice, once by imprisoned in the first place and then for being charged for their time there. It's been happening since about 2006. They've been reducing the compensation people got once they were out to compensate for their living payments. Now, an appeal against all of this was brought by a man, as you mentioned, called Andrew Malkinson. He was wrongly convicted for rape. He spent 17 years in jail for a rape, of course, he didn't commit. He was released in 2020, his conviction quashed after new DNA evidence linked another suspect, and he always maintained his innocence and said he could now be in line for some compensation. But his lawyer today said it shouldn't have been down to him to force this change from the government in the first place.
OK.
For him, what it means to Andy is that now the people who he considers his kidnappers, he no longer has to pay their expenses. So that's a step in the right direction. I mean, it took Andy's case, it took Andy's plea to make the government realise it's wrong. But if it's wrong, it's wrong. So fix it for everybody.
So people like Andrew potentially looking at some compensation then. The Justice Secretary, Alex Chalk, said it is a common sense change which will ensure victims do not face paying twice for the crimes they did not commit. But those who were wrongly convicted only have 2 years to bring their claim to get this compensation post their pardon. So, and considering this has been happening since 2006, of course, that will probably rule out more people than it'll actually help.
OK. Lewis, thank you very much indeed.